Guys. So we're starting this week off with Mercury recently having stationed retrograde. We're also in black moon energy today to start the week, but actually guys, as this week progresses, we're going to be moving into some really beautiful energy, some really beautiful aspects that are really very much going to be about inspired creation. And I think that we're also going to be feeling a bit motivated to rectify some things as we get into the energetics this week. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Monday, September 27th, 2021. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the day. So let's get started in talking about the energetics for Monday. If you guys want to stick around with me until the end of this report, I am going to be doing a brief overview of what we have incoming, what we have pending this week generally, just to give you guys a little bit of heads up in terms of what is coming throughout the course of the week. I thought Monday would probably be a good day to do that. I'm going to try to do that on Mondays going forward. But just to start things out, yes, we are very much so in Mercury retrograde energy right now. Mercury just stationed retrograde yesterday. And so this is an energy that we're probably all feeling right now very strongly. You know, Mercury retrograde has quite a reputation. It's known for interruptions and disruptions in communications of all kinds, technology issues, logistical issues, misunderstandings generally, just things to keep in mind when Mercury's retrograde. You really want to dot all your I's and cross all your T's and practice active listening and make sure that what you're saying is the message that is actually being relayed to who you're saying it to. You know, it's always a smart idea to sort of back up and pour in information on devices and stuff, and generally just be prepared. You know, take a little more time when traveling, when making plans, because sometimes things just don't go according to plan during a Mercury retrograde. You guys, Mercury retrograde also is not the time to make big purchases and big investments, especially in machinery or vehicles or computers and anything technological stuff like that, because a lot of times if you get them during a Mercury retrograde, when another Mercury retrograde comes along, you may experience issues with them. This is just kind of a commonly known occurrence that can happen when Mercury retrograde is in effect. So just to keep in mind, you know, make sure that you're communicating clearly over this period of time. Make sure that you're taking care with details, with planning, with logistics, stuff like that. And again, be careful with big purchases and stuff like that at this period of time, because you want them to continue working and doing what they're supposed to do far into the future, right? Yes. Also, you guys are going to have to bear with me a little bit. Now that Mercury is retrograde and Uranus is retrograde as well, that means both of my personal primary planets are retrograde right now. And I'm also about to have the Sun or Saturn transit in conjunct my Sun for the next 2 weeks. So I am really going to be doing my best, but there is a lot of crazy energy going on for me personally. So just wanted to put that out there as well. And for any of you guys who are interested in figuring out what your personal primary planets are in your chart, they will always be the ruler of your ascendant, whatever planet rules your ascendant, and also whatever planet rules your sun sign. And so just to use myself as an example, I'm a Gemini ascendant. That means Mercury rules my ascendant. So that is one of my primary planets, and then I'm an Aquarius sun. So Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. So both of those planets would also be my primary planets as well. So, you know, Saturn as well, but I usually lean more towards Uranus as the ruler of Aquarius now, even though Saturn also, that is kind of a little tricky thing. But Saturn and Uranus both rule Aquarius. But that is how you figure out what your personal primary planets are. It's whatever planet rules your ascendant and whatever planet rules the sign where the sun was when you were born. So just a little helpful hint in case you were interested in something like figuring that out. Now, back to the astrology for the day. Let's talk about this. Like I said, we're in this Mercury retrograde energy, technological and communication issues, themes with this always. But also, I think this Mercury retrograde process is really going to be bringing some clarity and having us reevaluating what has gone on, especially in terms of the things that we've learned and information that has been presented to us since about June, okay? And that I'm saying June because that is when the last Mercury retrograde period was. And I'm thinking that this, what comes up back up now, what we're rethinking, what we're reevaluating, what we're gaining more information about, what we're going back over at this point in time. I think that it's mostly going to be pertaining to the things, like I said, that have been presented to us in terms of information since about this period last June when we had the last Mercury retrograde. So just something to keep in mind as you are going through this experience, okay? But I do think that we are going to be gaining a lot of truth and a lot of clarity and a very much expanded perception of things with this particular Mercury retrograde period. And I think it's going to cause like a lot of profound like transformations and metamorphosis in our understandings, our viewpoints, and the way that we're perceiving reality. And that is for two reasons. One, the degree where Mercury stationed retrograde is 26 degrees of Libra. And for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. And for those of you who are just unfamiliar, part of the work in the astrology that I do is pertaining to the Sabian symbols. And what those are is a group of symbols that represent each and every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. Whenever a planet is at a specific point, discharging a specific degree, making an aspect, we can look to the degree where that aspect is occurring and read the symbol, and it gives us more information about why that aspect is occurring. What is the purpose? What is the point of it in the context of this grand unfolding saga that is constantly carrying us through time and space in the form of the cosmic unfolding blueprint coming down from God and universe. So I always look at the Sabian symbols because they give more information about what is happening and why at any point in time. And the degree, to take it back, where Mercury stationed retrograde was 26 degrees of Libra, and that Sabian symbol is an eagle and a large white dove turning into one another. So that is telling us right off the bat that this Mercury retrograde process is very much a metamorphosis, a transformation, a transfiguration in terms of our ideas and our mind. Remember, these are both birds that are being spoken of. Birds resonate to the air frequencies. Mercury's in Libra, which is also an air sign, and air, the air element, rules our thoughts and it rules our communication and our speech. And so we know that this is a very cerebral transformation that's going on. And the other reason why I feel like this is going to really broaden and expand our viewpoint and things, and also if you think about it, both the eagle and the dove, they're both birds. So they have an overhead view. They have a grand perspective. They can see things from the top looking down. And that also correlates to the fact that for Mercury's retrograde, at 26 degrees of Libra, he's also in a trine, not exact trine, but a close enough trine to Jupiter in Aquarius, and also a square to Pluto in Capricorn. And if you've been following my work and you watched my videos last week, you know that these were significant influences that were really helping us to gain some sort of penetrating insight into something that leads to this like much more expanded viewpoint. And now that we have Mercury retrograding at this degree, still making these aspects, it's like this is going to continue on as a theme as we're going back in time, as we're retracing our steps, as we're rethinking and reevaluating information that has been presented to us and what we've learned up to this point. It's like we have the ability to sort of like see through it down to the root of it and simultaneously have a very like bird's eye view, expanded viewpoint of what's going on. So I really do think that we're going to be seeing through illusions in a lot of ways with this particular Mercury retrograde. And I think it's going to clear a lot of things up for us and really open our minds to what has really gone on under the surface of things. And this process in and of itself is going to cause this transfiguration or this metamorphosis or this like really profound transformation in the way that we are perceiving reality from the bird's eye view perspective. So it should be a very interesting and significant Mercury retrograde process. So it'll be interesting to see how this process goes for sure. The next thing today, like I said, yes, we are in black moon energy. We are in a black moon day. The moon is in Gemini today. The black moon is also in Gemini right now. And whenever the moon comes into the sign where the black moon is currently located, or the oppositional sign to where the black moon is currently located, because the black moon always works in polarities, the black moon is triggered on an emotional level collectively for all of us. The black moon rules our insecurities, our shadow side issues, sort of like the subconscious programming that motivates a lot of our behaviors and actions and feelings that we're not necessarily consciously aware of. The black moon has been a very significant and major theme in a lot of the energetics lately that we have been transversing through. And, you know, with the moon in Gemini today, of course, that is triggering these black moon energetics. We may feel a little bit heavier today. It may be triggering some fears and some insecurities and some uncertainties or just some shadow side issues sort of bubbling up to the surface. But the moon is also, even though we are in these black moon energetics, the moon in Gemini today, because of its placement in the end of Gemini, is also going to be forming an exact, well, not an exact, but it's going to be forming a grand trine in air signs. And the grand trine is going to be between Mercury retrograde in Libra, Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius, and the moon will be in Gemini. So again, this grand trine in air today, after Mercury just went retrograde, is activating that Mercury retrograde, and it is also activating that Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. And so we had a grand trine in air signs actually over the weekend as well. We had the moon still in Gemini forming a grand trine with Mars in Libra and Saturn in Aquarius. So that was very much about aligning with our motivation and our energy in such a way to inspire us to build something like really brand new, to lay some brand new foundations and to be inspired and in alignment with like our intuition and our gut in doing so. But this grand air trine is much different. And I really think that we may be today, like right off the bat, we may be getting some of this disclosure. We may be getting some of this information, because the moon is like a trigger for energetics, and it is triggering Mercury retrograde in that trine to Jupiter retrograde. And again, this is air signs. So this is about our ideas, our thought patterns, information, what we're thinking about, what we're communicating, what we're talking about, social media, the media generally. So right off the bat today on Monday, we may see some truth being broadcast or some harsh truth or some uncoverings of some things. And it may be bringing up some insecurities. And again, though, the black moon is in Gemini. So in Gemini rules the twins and polarities. And so these revelations or whatever is coming up may really be triggering some deep-seated fears that contribute to an even more polarized environment. I have to say that as well. But generally, this should be a very beneficial aspect in terms of helping the truth come out and be, you know, start to be spread a little bit more, I guess I could say. So grand trine in air signs with Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, and the moon truth coming through today with this, I do think. This also, like I said, may bring up fears and insecurities pertaining to discovering this truth. You know, sometimes it's a lot more comfortable not to know the truth. That's sort of the way I'm feeling this dynamic. It's like we can't hide from it anymore. It's coming out, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a very comfortable and easy thing for a lot of people. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Cognitive dissonance could be a major theme with this as well, especially with the moon in Gemini, with the black moon. So it also could bring up, you know, mental health issues as well as something that could come up with this. But ultimately, I mean, let's think about it. We have Mercury retrograde in Libra and Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. So just based on the basic themes of these signs, it's really about justice for the people, for humanity. Libra rules justice, balance, harmony, the writing, the weighing, the balancing of the scales. And Aquarius rules the human collective, humanity, the greater good. And so, whatever truths come with this Mercury retrograde process, it is definitely going to be for the purpose of bringing some type of justice to the people. So I think that's something that we can really put our money on this cycle and take some stock in, have some faith in. So good news there. Another thing that we have pending today, this is coming into effect. It's not exact. It won't be exact for another couple days, but I want to bring it up because I feel like this is going to be a significant energetic that's in play this week, is we have Mars in Libra building into an exact opposition with Chiron and Aries. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer teacher archetype. When Chiron energy is triggered, or people who have a lot of Chiron energy in their chart, it generally indicates having gone through some really significant trauma or wounding or painful experience, usually like in childhood, that causes us to really have to go on this like hero's journey of self-discovery and figuring out the root of that experience, how to grow from it, how to heal it, how to overcome it, and ultimately how to master it, and to gain this like really profound sense of wisdom that we can take forward with us and actually become like a guide and a guiding light for others who are traveling along that same path, that same wounded healer teacher, the same archetypal path that spurs one onto the hero's journey that ultimately leads to this gaining of tremendous amounts of wisdom and ability to heal oneself, coming into self-mastery, and then being able to help others go through the same process. And it's really like a snowball effect. And over time, this is how the collective clears the collective trauma. So Chiron is a very significant and powerful influence. And with Mars coming into an opposition with Chiron this week, the hero's journey, I do think, is being activated collectively for all of us. I think that this could also bring up some type of really like inspired or motivated conflict around themes of healing, and also potentially anger about things related to health or healing as well. And people really sort of motivated to want to stand in their power and have the courage and the strength to take control essentially of their own healing process. I think that is what we might see with this energetic. And there also may be major themes of defending children with this as well, because again, Chiron rules early childhood wounding. And with Mars, the spiritual warrior archetype in opposition, there could be definite themes of wanting to defend children this week with that as well. So just something that I wanted to mention in today's energetics, because this aspect is building. And also remember, we have Mars in a conjunction to the Sun, you guys. It's so crazy because we're building right now towards the new moon in Libra that's going to be happening on October 6th, I believe. And that new moon is exactly conjunct Mars. It's going to be a very powerful, heated, feisty new moon cycle, let me tell you that. But for now, and like up until that point, this Mars is building closer and closer, or the Sun is actually coming in closer and closer to conjunction with Mars. And so although Mars is in this opposition with Chiron, the Sun is also in a conjunction. So there is even more of this like expanded, fiery, motivated, energized desire to really rectify wounding that has been caused, or to really try to heal something, or to be very protective over children and stuff like that. And it's just emphasized even more by the fact that Mars is in a conjunction with the Sun for this. So this is a very big energetic that we're having this week as well. Mars conjuncting the Sun. This is I feel like people are fighting in an opposition to Chiron. I feel like people are going to be fighting for their health, for their healing. And it also could bring like some very volatile financial markets, economic circumstances. Chiron also rules wealth. The Sabian symbol of the Chiron point, where Chiron was originally discovered, was 4 degrees of Taurus. And that degree is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And Chiron really does like ultimately rule like the true value, the true gold of the soul, because the Chiron energy is always pushing us to really alchemize. Like Chiron also rules alchemy, like transform lead into gold, transform like our base instincts and our base way of being into our highest potential, and really cultivate our true authentic value. So money, value, things of value are very much ruled by the Chiron frequency as well. And that extrapolates in our world today to, economies, money, finances. And with the opposition to Mars in conjunction to the Sun, we could definitely, like I said, see some volatile financial situations, economic situations going on with this as well. So I wanted to bring that up today in the energetics as well, because this is building, and with Mars in conjunction to the Sun, there's just this very fiery energy going on right now. And Mars in conjunction to the Sun, this is also a very strategic energy, and a lot of times things can be happening, like plans and action can be happening behind the scenes with this, and then like when it's fully prepared, sort of like burst onto the scene and like make this like explode onto the scene with this like plan that has been set up previously. So strategy and things going on, actions happening behind the scenes that don't come out until they're fully prepared and ready is also an indication with the Sun combust Mars, the being in this conjunction. Because Mars, when it's in conjunction with the Sun, it's caught in the rays of the Sun. You can't see it. It's actually invisible. So that is what makes Mars's operating a lot of times sort of unperceivable until you actually perceive it. You know what I mean? Like when it actually is presented. So that is sort of like how that works, and why when Mars is with the Sun, a lot of times things happen more behind the scenes until they're finally ready to make like their big appearance. So wanted to mention that as well. So overall, for the energetics for today, for Monday, we're just really in this Mercury retrograde energy. We're in a black moon day, but we do have this grand trine going on between Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, and the moon. So this really could be bringing out some truths coming through today. And Mars building into opposition with Chiron while in a conjunction to the Sun, igniting, activating this hero's journey, this desire to really take charge and have strength and have courage and be motivated to fight for our own healing. Okay? Our own healing from traumatic situations, some type of way. So now I want to move on just for a minute and talk about what we have pending this week. Like I said, we have some really, really, really beautiful astrology going on this week. Number one, on the 29th, the Sun is going to be coming into exact trine with Saturn. This is master builder energy. This is having like the life force, the Sun, what really fuels us and like inspires us and gives us motivation to like grow and thrive, coming into a very positive facilitating aspect with the planet that builds and structures and lays foundations for things. And this also gives us a really, really strong ability to focus, to make plans, to write blueprints. Like this is very diligent, focused, organized energy where we can really put a lot into growing and laying down the foundations that we want to build going forward. This is very, like I said, master builder energy, a lot of very manifestation energy. The Sun with the planet that builds things, forms things, structures things. So we're like sort of feeding energetically this week into the things that we the new foundations that we want to lay for our lives going forward. And this is happening simultaneous to a couple of things. Number one, on the 29th as well, we're also going to be having this like extremely beautiful aspect, which is going to be a grand trine in water signs between Neptune, Venus, and the moon. Neptune is in Pisces, Venus is in Scorpio, and the moon will be in Cancer. This is sort of a 2-day aspect. It will start on the 29th and it will carry over onto the 30th. So this aspect will actually be in effect while the sun is making that trine to Saturn. And this is like everything beautiful. This is like lovely, beautiful. This is like high heart energy and compassion ruling all. Very creative, a very strong ability to use the imagination to imprint our desires, and then through our faith bring those desires physically, tangibly into this material world. So with a combination of the sun and Saturn and this grand trine in water between Neptune, Venus, and the moon that we're having on the 29th this week, this is going to be a really beautiful, powerful window where we can really bring our dreams into reality in a very concrete and grounded way. So that is pending, very inspired creation in the energetics coming up this week. On the 30th, you guys, there is a whole bunch going on. The 30th is going to be a really big day. We have Mercury retrograding back into a square with Pluto, and that is going to be bringing more of this very deep and penetrating insight into things that we're finding out under the surface of things. We're also going to be having Venus coming into a square with Jupiter. This is more, good, beautiful, expansive energy that we have to look forward to with this. And the 30th, that is also the day that we have Mars coming into the exact opposition with Chiron, like I was talking earlier, while we still have this grand water trine in effect between Venus, Neptune, and the moon. So we're heading into a really beautiful week where there is just a lot of energy for very inspired creation. Like I said, it is a week where we can really align with our dreams and really, in a very materialistic way, begin to bring our dreams into reality through having the energy and aligning with the new foundations that we need to lay that are in a more authentic and true nature in terms of aligning with the transformations that we're undergoing at this point in time. We're like all going through this phoenix mode. We're all going through this rebirth, and it's causing us to really need to lay some new foundations that are supportive of that so that our life going forward can support our transformations and our truth and our real deep desires of our heart and our authenticity, and through the support of that, help us to really cultivate and expand and develop our potential so that we can become more masterful over our own experiences going forward into the age of Aquarius, where that is really what universe is asking us all to do and be and become. So we have all this going on this week, and again, we are headed into this really big new moon that is going to be happening next week, where the new moon in Libra will be in exact conjunction to Mars. So we are just in it right now, guys, and we've been in it for a while. I know I say that a lot, but this cycle, where we're at right now, this next couple of months is likely to be big, okay? Moving on, I want to talk about the tarot cards for just a minute. I pull a tarot card every morning before I do these reports to ask God, universe, to clarify the collective energy for me so that I just have a better idea, of how these energetics are affecting the population. And when I drew a tarot card for this morning, asked God to give me a card, the card that came out was the World. And this card is very much about reaching a culmination point, the end of a cycle, and being on the brink of starting something completely new, which with the sun coming into a trine with Saturn this week, that is what we're doing. We are building something completely new. Remember, the sun also was just in a trine to the north node, talking about our whole new path. And now the sun is making the trine to Saturn, and we're actually building it. So the world, I mean, this card, it's the final card in the major arcanas. It signals the ending of a cycle and the pause before the next new cycle begins. And I think that's really where we're at right now as we are heading into this new moon in Libra conjunct Mars, which is really just going to be like lighting a fire under all of us, like literally. And then on the back of the deck, like, what is this card about? You know, I got the King of Cups, and I felt like that was just like the absolute most perfect card for the energy this week as well, considering that we have this really amazing grand trine in water that is going on, that is all about helping us to bring our dreams into reality. And the King of Cups, this is like the ultimate in emotional fulfillment. And that is really what this particular water aspect, water sign grand trine this week is trying to do, is inspire us to imagine and visualize and imprint. And then with the sun in trine to Uranus, or the sun in trine to Saturn, begin to build our dreams that will ultimately lead to this like grand emotional fulfillment that really, that is what a lot of the energetics are moving us towards right now anyways. Venus in Scorpio really wants us to align with the deepest desires in our heart. Uranus in Taurus is really trying to shake us out of any situations that are keeping us out of our authenticity, that are preventing that ultimate emotional fulfillment. So I feel like that is some beautiful advice and clarification in terms of where we're at this week. We are sort of all in the process of culminating and ending a cycle. And we're sort of like in this pause before the new cycle starts. But simultaneous to that, we have all of this really, really beautiful, like, water energy that is aligning us with our emotions and with our deep desires and really helping us through imagination, through, you know, like daydreaming and stuff like that, to really begin to imprint on universe the desire that we wish to go, and then really begin to actually build that with the sun in the trine to Saturn this week as well. Now, before I let you go, I am going to pull one of these synchronicity cards. I'm going to shuffle them right now and pull one. And my intention with these cards, for whoever is seeing this video at any point in time, whenever you're seeing it, this is a message that is coming through for you, just to give you a little bit of assistance as you go through your day. If you need to fall back on something, if you need something to give you, you know, some inspiration, this is the message. So let's see what we have for today. And it says attitude adjustment. It says, if you knew the gift of God, you would accept the living water, John 4:10. And it says, you are refusing to accept truths of your own psychological capacity to be independent and free from limitation, trouble, pain, and misery. See inspiration, truth, healing, guidance, or whatever else you need for your own spiritual growth and renewal. And I mean, we are in this process of transformation right now, metamorphosis right now, and with Mercury going retrograde, that in the trine to Jupiter, in the square to Pluto, and with the moon today making the grand trine between Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, in that black moon energy, this really could be a theme that some people are dealing with this week. And again, this is talking sort of about that that cognitive dissonance and stuff. And with Mercury going retrograde now, we really are going to be, like I already said earlier, accepting harsh truths. So I do think that this message is right on point today. And anyone who needed to hear that, there it is. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment. I love you guys' comments. I have a Facebook page and a Facebook group if you're interested. AubreyStarsAstrology@gmail.com if you want to email me. And please come back with me tomorrow, you guys, so we can continue talking about what's going on this week. Wishing everyone a beautiful day. Bye.